In most farming towns, broken machines don't disappear. They get pushed to the edge of the field, hidden behind barns, or left near tree lines where no one has to look at them. Because once something breaks, most people stop seeing value in it. They see failure, a bad season, a bad decision, a loss. But in a small farming county in Kansas, there was one man who saw things differently. While others saw junk, he saw something no one else did. For years, people laughed at him. They called his place a junkyard. They said he was collecting trash. They said he was stuck in the past. But when the crisis came, and parts disappeared, and farms started collapsing, the same people came back to him. Because the junk they laughed at was the only thing keeping their farms alive. This is the story of Earl Whitaker, the farmer who saved a county without ever trying to. If you've ever been around farming, you already know this. Nothing really disappears. Broken things stay. A cracked gearbox, a dead engine, a bent plow, a failed hydraulic pump. Farmers don't throw these things away immediately. They move them aside, behind the barn, near the fence, or somewhere out of sight. And over time, those places turn into quiet graveyards. For most farmers, those graveyards are uncomfortable. They remind them of mistakes. But for Earl Whitaker, that graveyard was opportunity. Earl farmed about 220 acres in Morris County, Kansas. He wasn't the kind of farmer who chased trends. He didn't buy the newest machines. He didn't expand aggressively. He didn't try to impress anyone. He believed in one simple idea. If something still has use, don't throw it away. On his land, there was a rough limestone ravine, too uneven to farm, too narrow to use, too useless for anything productive. So his father had used it as a dump. Old machines, broken tools, dead tractors. When Earl took over, he didn't clear it, he continued it. But not randomly, not carelessly. He created a system. Every broken machine that came in was taken apart carefully. Every usable part was cleaned, labeled, stored, organized. Hydraulic parts in one place, fuel systems in another. Pitot shafts on hooks, bolts, fittings, and small components in containers. To everyone else, it looked like a mess. To Earl, it was a system, and for years, people laughed. At the co-op, they joked about him. At the diner, they called it a junkyard. Even neighbors said, "Why keep all this useless iron?" But Earl never argued. He never explained. He just kept working. Because he understood something simple. A machine doesn't become useless all at once. Usually, one part fails, but the rest still works. That was his thinking. A broken tractor? Not junk. It was a good pump, a working shaft, a usable seat, a functional steering system, parts that could save another machine. Earl wasn't collecting machines, he was collecting solutions. Solutions for problems that hadn't happened yet. And for a long time, nobody needed those solutions. Because in the 1970s, farming was booming. Prices were high. Money was flowing. Banks were lending. Farmers were expanding. Everyone was upgrading. New tractors, new equipment, new systems. And Earl? He looked outdated. While others were buying new machines, he was dragging home broken ones. While others were expanding, he was collecting parts. To most people, it made no sense. Even local dealers didn't like it. Because every used part Earl gave someone was one less sale. So the jokes got sharper. Some even complained, trying to get his operation shut down. But nothing happened. No violation, no shutdown. Just Earl, quietly continuing his work. The early 1980s, the farm crisis. Interest rates went up, crop prices fell, land values dropped, loans became heavy, and suddenly, everything shifted. Farmers stopped buying new equipment. They started fixing old ones, stretching them, repairing them, using them longer. And that created a new problem. Parts, not new parts. Affordable parts. Available parts. Immediate parts. Because when a machine breaks during planting or harvest, you can't wait weeks. You need a solution, right now. And suddenly, Earl Whitaker's barn became the most important place in the county. Farmers started showing up. At first, just one, then another, then many. They came with broken machines, worn-out parts, urgent problems, and Earl had answers. A pump here, a shaft there, a fitting nobody else had. Parts that had been sitting quietly for years, waiting. What people once called junk became survival. Earl didn't turn it into a big business. He didn't chase profit. He just helped. If someone needed a part, he gave it. If they couldn't pay much, he adjusted. Sometimes cash, sometimes trade, sometimes just trust. Because he understood something deeper. In hard times, keeping a farm running matters more than money. And slowly, something changed. The same people who laughed stopped laughing. They started respecting, watching, learning. Because what Earl built wasn't a junkyard, it was a lifeline. There was one moment that said everything. A man who once mocked him walked into his barn. He needed a part, couldn't find it anywhere else. Earl didn't react, didn't remind him of the past. He simply walked to a shelf, picked the part, and handed it over. That's when everything became clear. This story isn't just about farming, it's about thinking. Most people see something broken and walk away. A few people look closer and ask, what still works? That question changes everything. Earl didn't become the richest farmer, he didn't build a big company, but he did something better. He stayed. While others struggled, he adapted. While others depended on the system, years later, his farm was no longer called a junkyard. It was known as the place that helped farms survive. And that's the real lesson. Sometimes, value hides inside what looks like failure. Sometimes, what people laugh at today becomes essential tomorrow. And sometimes, the difference between losing everything and surviving is just one small part, saved at the right time. If you enjoy real farming stories like this, stories about practical thinking, old school knowledge, and lessons most people ignore today, make sure you subscribe. And if you've ever fixed something, saved a machine, or made something work when others gave up, drop a comment below, because those stories are the ones that matter most.